So when prana is yielded, it has the three components to it. And these are precursors to all the elements and to all the expression, and to all our subtle expressions and gross expressions. So the first component is Marut, and this is the precursor for PranaMaya Kosha. It is the precursor for magnetic force, Vata dosha, and all of its subdoshas too. Then Marut yields Agni. Agni is the consciousness for Pitta dosha and for subtle bodies. For the subtle body, for the mental body, and for VijnanaMaya Kosha also, and the Soma. Soma is the precursor for the physical expression, which is the Kapha dosha, and these are the consciousness. These parts are parts of prana which express the consciousness, and then all the elements flow from out of them. Yeah, this is very important to understand how prana works. Next is the expressions of the layers of the body, gross and subtle. The first one is AnandaMaya Kosha. This is the spiritual realm. This is the internal bliss, and it lies beyond any expression of physical nature. It precedes the expression of physical nature in the subtle form and in the gross form, while retaining all its properties. VijnanaMaya Kosha makes ManoMaya Kosha. It's the next sheath of our internal expression of the spirit. And ManoMaya Kosha is our mind. It has the components, parts. So parts of ManoMaya Kosha, I would probably have to mention first is the Chitta. Chitta is our unconscious realm. It is our unconscious or subconsciousness. And Chitta, in fact, is the exact silhouette of our physical body. Think of Chitta as you putting on clothes. So Chitta is you, and your articles of clothes is pretty much your physical body. Then the PranaMaya Kosha, this is the sheath of magnetic force, gravity, which is Vayus, that were discovered in the beginning of the 20th century, were already described long before in Vedic literature, scriptures. These two, 1 and 2, they actually together, they form electromagnetic field. Bio-electromagnetic field. This is what we are in the subtle expression. And they together with VijnanaMaya Kosha, because VijnanaMaya Kosha is pretty much just the higher expression of ManoMaya Kosha. They're closely connected, yet VijnanaMaya Kosha is a higher level of the mind. It's beyond the reasoning mind. It is the type of reasoning mind that cannot be corrupted at all. And it's called Mahat. The Mahat is the center of VijnanaMaya Kosha. Mahat cannot be corrupted by ego. Whereas Buddhi mind, which is part of ManoMaya Kosha, may still somehow justify the action of the lower mind. And the lower mind, the mind that is considered conscious mind, the one that is attached to the senses, the one that analyzes, the one that thinks, that possesses the short-term memory, that mind is the guardian of the body. It's materialistic mind connected to the body through the 5 senses. This is the electromagnetic field. What happens is that the magnetic field here intense, because when we balance our magnetic field with either breathing and connecting all channels, especially the channel in Kichari Mudra, where the tip of the tongue touches the soft palate in that point, then we align and intensify the magnetic field. And when it is intense, it can actually strike the friction and invoke the electrical impulse and activate mental energy. Because our mental energy, ManoMaya Kosha, is really just the electricity, is the very subtle electricity. Okay, and then Annamaya Kosha, this is the physical sheath, and sheath made of food. That's the temporary sheath that we all put on for one lifetime, that we also have to really look out for, because this is the temple where our soul actually dwells for this lifetime and tries to achieve a more conscious life. And it feels good when your body aligns with your purpose. However,
I think that the nesting doll represents this principle very nicely, Annamaya Kosha. So then
Stula Sharira.
Stula Sharira, then
Subtle body, Shukshma Sharira. Shukshma Sharira, that consists of PranaMaya Kosha, AnandaMaya Kosha, and VijnanaMaya Kosha.
So it just keeps going and going like that.
And here we already in Vijnana, and this is Ananda.
Yay.
Annamaya. See, like in different cultures, this what the representation. Like even Russia used to live in Vedic principle, and this is what they come up with to actually show the sheath of the body. You know, the next sheath would actually feel like the astral body, they call it. It would feel like you are in a dream when you are seeing yourself, but that dream is vivid. And this is the astral projection. So it's more like a conscious dream, lucid dream. And you see yourself there as yourself here, just in a regular form. But then the higher you ascend into different spectras, then you start seeing yourself as a different type of being. Ultimately, you see yourself as a star or as a spark, pretty much, as a particle of light. Concept of Agnis. There are 4 Agnis that we need to consider, and we will dwell on the second one because this is the more important one. However, you know, the AnandaMaya Kosha spiritual realm, where we do not really go there, we do not discuss it much because it is the real choice of each individual to choose their spiritual path. So, but we talk more about the chi or the mental body, and the mental body, which is on the way of achieving the higher realm, the spiritual realm, has a lot of impurities, and we want people to understand how to actually deal with the impurities of the mental body, because the impurities of the mental body, they predispose the impurities of the physical body. And they, in fact, they are the culprits of the inadequate metabolic function and accumulation of toxins and even oncological development and all of the conditions that manifest in the physical realm. So all the confusions of the subtle body, of the mental body, they're expressed through either the purity would express as health in the physical body, but the impurities of the mental body would express as the conditions, diseases of any sort. Okay, so the first one is Sarvagni. Sarvagni is the spiritual Agni. It's closely connected to AnandaMaya Kosha. And spiritual Agni is more like a driver of inspiration. What are you inspired to do in life? It has that mission of your life behind it. We go into the next one, Chittagni. Chittagni, that's very important one. This is what we want to really talk about and discuss. This is the Agni of the mind, of the mental realm. Chi. See this first? Chi. This is short for Chittagni. What it feels is the Chitta, and Chitta is the subconsciousness. Chitta is really just our mental body. This is the retainer of impressions and memories in the form of the karmic knots. The karmic knots called Samskaras. Samskara is the mental entity that retains the impressions, whether they correct or perverted. Usually it's the perverted impression or inadequate perception of reality that actually forms in that energetic circuit or energetic zep or the electrical disturbance along the electrical channels of the subconscious realm. And then, of course, more physical Agnis, there's Bhutagni that separates the 5 elements. It resides in the liver and through the tissues too. And we have the Jataragni. This is more physical. Agni is represented through acids and enzymes inside our digestive tract. Okay, so we'll talk about Chittagni. Chittagni or Chi is very important energy that rushes through our mental realm and helps us to nurture our tissues, elevate our energy. In fact, this is the top expression of energy for our mind and for our body too. Okay, so this is our Chitta. Throughout the Chitta, we see all these Nadis and Chakras. Chakras are underestimated in terms of how they function. They don't only function as the emotional centers and the centers that move energy distributed to certain organs and so on. They also transform the electromagnetic force into the elements. This is interesting because it's scaled down to, let's say, micro nuclear fusion type of reaction. It's not completely, but since chakras do not dwell in the physical nature, but they're bright and they're light, nuclear fusion reactions are also possible with the electromagnetic combustion, through electromagnetic ignition, so to say. And what they do, they transform the energy into the physical structures by that type of reaction, which is interesting point, but it is possible. Because see, chakras, they are like stars. They emit this light, and within that subtle light, some interesting reactions happen. And the transformation of energy into the physical particles, even through the etheric element. So these are nadis that come out of chakras, set of 14 nadis, the initial ones, and then they break down to the more fine nadis, and they're around like 75,000 nadis, even more. They become very subtle. Along the nadis, there are also other centers. They're like vortexes. They're smaller ones. They're called marmas. And then from marmas, they're like even smaller ones that are called marmanis. And all the energy is rushing through nadis to each individual cell and carries that chi energy in order to sustain proper processes and metabolism of each tissue of each cell. So how that is achieved? PranaMaya Kosha is the magnetic force. When we align the magnetic forces, which are two primary channels, which is the female and male force, but imagine them the way that they're twisting and swirling together. This is in fact how the magnetic field is formed. And what we can do is intensify this process. In order to do that, we connect the channels of PranaMaya Kosha, which is the back channel, which is the male one, and the front channel together through Kichari Mudra on top of the palate. So once that's achieved, then we need to bring the attention. One faculty of the conscious mind is the attention and awareness. Where attention is, this is where the energy is, right? Because at the tip of our mental body, we have the electrical impulse. We bring this point of attention to the point of connection of the two channels of PranaMaya Kosha, of the magnetic field. And through intense observation and complete dedication of our attention to that point, without interruption of the inner talk, disturbance of the senses, withdrawing all the senses into the mind. And that may take some practice, and it may take some time. Then we may observe ignition of chi at the top chakra. This is where you start observing the light with your eyes closed, sitting in a completely dark room. You all of a sudden see the light appear, and it begins to grow. You start seeing it inside your head. It's not, black background anymore. You start seeing the light, and it grows and grows, and this is the chi. This is the chi that now you can actually use to convert into your needed elements inside your body for your tissues. This is how you nurture and saturate your tissues. And at the same time, you can use it in order to clear out the confusions inside of your mental realm. So the way you do it is with your conscious mind and the tip of it, which is the attention. With the attention, you start drawing this light down your body. It's gonna feel like very subtle electricity rushing through your tissues and through your organs. That may also show you a lot of perspective inside. Additional and parallel to that, you may start seeing your organs like they are. You may see yourself from a side. You may see like the surveillance camera takes the x-ray of your body, and you start seeing the areas of damage inside your body, inside your tissues and organs, and how you can repair them. And once you see them, you direct the light with your conscious mind. And in fact, what the conscious mind, the primary function is not to think and analyze what's going on around. It's not really to create technology and become educated person. The primary function of the conscious mind is to purify the subconsciousness by drawing the Chittagni into the tissues on the external sheath and into the Chitta, into the subconscious realm, where all those improper impressions actually lie. You will see the areas of those improper impressions. They're like electromagnetic vortexes that are hanging on the nadis. They lie underneath the tissue. And once the Sankara is formed in the electromagnetic field, then the tissue that is associated with it will also diversify. It will change its structure. It will become either too dense or it will lose its elasticity. So whenever people have oncological tumors, those areas are actually the areas of inadequate impressions inside of their mental realm, inside of their Chitta. So with the help of the Chittagni or Chi that we are moving through our subtle realm, we can reach those areas and we can repair them, eradicate those fields of electromagnetic surges which imbalance the field. So what's metaphysical about it now is that this light, the Chitta, the energy, the high energy of Chittagni that we pull through our body actually goes through chakras, nurtures each chakra. It gives it enough of potential energy in order to convert to and support the physical tissue. So this is what metaphysical expression of it. There is one yogi that roams the forests of India. He said that he stopped eating at the age of 12. He's 86 years old. He was about 2 years ago or so. He was studied. His brain waves were studied. He's just a mystic of the modern day. They don't know how he survives. He does not eat. He does not sleep. He is fully awake and in all the senses. He says that he may live up to 2,000 years. This is his own words. This is the pranic metabolism, but this is the extreme of the other metabolism. We personally know one person who hasn't eaten for 5 years, and he engages in very intense energy practices. He does his routines in the morning, and then he meditates, and this is how he achieves this, sustainability. But who can go completely free of food and survive? In our day and age, hardly any. There's a small amount of people, like less than 1,000th of a 1% probably can do that. But what is there for us to do, and how do we at least improve and get to the point where we can process more of energy and survive of it more so than the food and become less dependent on physical food? If it is something that we really want to do, just at a basic level, it is good to improve health and then get to the next step and see how it feels. So the way we do it is we optimize our nutrition, we do detox, we purify the body, and that actually also takes the burden of our Chitta or the energy body in the way that sustaining the metabolic waste and toxins inside also take a huge amount of energy reserves because they need to be maintained and they need to be carried around. And this is why we have to put a lot of energy towards that. And this is how we drain ourselves of that energy, of the very essential, significant energy that we can otherwise use for different purposes, for better purposes. We need to purify our mental realm, get rid of those impurities in the mind by trying to optimize perception. Additionally, is being able to not react to situations that are created around that trigger emotional response, especially because emotions, they are great drainers of the energy. So we need to take all steps to preserve the energy in any way. And one of them is not reacting emotionally and just pacify the emotions generally, balance them out. And of course, then incrementally and gradually, we can change the type of our nutrition, the process of higher metabolism to step in and see what benefits it can actually bring. And at the same time, we should not ignore the energy practices. The energy practices can come in different forms and shapes. Yoga, what physical yoga does, it actually stretches tissues in order to conduct the energy, because once we stretch the physical body, the mental body also undergoes certain modification. Well, meditation is important, and we were talking about meditation in terms of you can visualize, you can meditate on something, you can reiterate the sound and then achieve the high level of concentration on the subject or on the sound that you want to unite with and to realize. But what our conscious mind creates possesses the gross nature behind it. The gross nature will not allow your attention to transcend into the subtle nature. So it will be a distraction to connect to the expression of the higher mind. And therefore, in order to pacify that completely, we need to try to not focus on any visuals or on any sound. We just need the complete detachment and calmness inside the mind. You will get in touch with the Akashic realm, where all the vibration of the subtle realm begins, that can allow the higher chakras to ignite and harness the energy. So that's important when we do meditation. It's actually considered to be the basic level meditation. I mean, there are other energy practices, but engaging into energy practices is very important. That's how we can actually tap into and develop this metabolic activity inside our body.
If you find this video helpful, please give it a like, share it with your family and friends, subscribe to our channel, and get notifications. Also, leave a comment of at least 8 words. Comments make difference.